Marks and Spencer has built its reputation on trust, quality, and the idea that you're paying a little more because you're getting something better. But behind that polished image, there are shopping patterns, pricing behaviors, and internal habits that most regular customers never notice, even though they affect what you pay every single time you walk into the store or click Add to Basket online. Most people assume M&S prices are fixed, fair, and consistent. Yet the reality is that two customers standing next to each other can walk away having paid very different amounts for nearly identical items. And neither one will realize it unless they know exactly what to look for. The first thing most shoppers miss is how aggressively M&S rotates quiet markdowns, which are price reductions that never get labeled as sales, clearance, or promotions. These changes usually happen midweek, often on a Tuesday evening or early Wednesday morning, and they apply to specific sizes, colors, or batches, rather than the entire product line. Someone browsing on a Friday afternoon will see a jacket at full price, while someone checking the same item 2 days earlier may have caught it at a lower price without any sale banner attached. The product page looks identical, the signage in store looks identical, and nothing signals that the price has shifted. The system relies on the fact that most shoppers don't track prices over time, which means these reductions quietly move stock without training customers to wait for sales. Then there's the way M&S handles sizing, which looks straightforward on the surface, but hides a very intentional strategy. Certain sizes, especially common ones like medium and large, are stocked more heavily at full price, while less common sizes often receive earlier markdowns to clear space. This creates the illusion that popular sizes sell out fast, when in reality they're just held back from discounts longer. If you've ever noticed that your size almost never seems to be reduced while others are, that's not bad luck. That's inventory prioritization. M&S knows exactly which sizes customers are least willing to wait on, and those sizes are protected from price drops as long as possible. Another thing few shoppers realize is how much pricing differs between physical stores and the online shop, even on the same day. M&S does not always synchronize markdowns across platforms. A coat discounted in-store might still show full price online, and the reverse happens just as often. Store managers are given flexibility to adjust pricing to clear local stock, which means a quieter suburban store may discount items weeks earlier than a busy city location. Shoppers who assume the website always reflects the true price miss out on deals that exist only on physical rails, quietly marked with smaller tags that don't scream discount. Food shoppers fall into a similar trap, especially with M&S's premium ready meals. Many people believe the yellow sticker reductions work the same way across supermarkets, but M&S handles these very differently. Reductions often happen later in the evening than customers expect, sometimes just an hour before closing, and the timing can vary by location depending on foot traffic patterns. What makes this more interesting is that some items skip the first reduction stage entirely and go straight to a deeper markdown, but only if they haven't been touched earlier in the day. Staff monitor which items customers pick up and put back, and that behavior influences when and how prices drop. One of the least talked about tactics involves M&S Sparks, the loyalty program that many customers sign up for and then forget about. Unlike traditional point systems, Sparks rewards are often personalized and not evenly distributed across customers. Two people shopping side by side can receive entirely different offers based on previous behavior, browsing history, and even how frequently they ignore past offers. Customers who regularly use Sparks discounts may actually receive fewer high-value offers over time, while those who rarely redeem rewards sometimes get stronger incentives to pull them back in. The system quietly trains behavior, rewarding unpredictability rather than loyalty, which feels counterintuitive until you see how it drives spending patterns. Clothing bundles are another area where M&S quietly controls perceived value. Multi-buy offers on basics like underwear, socks, and t-shirts are rarely structured to save the maximum amount unless you buy the exact combination they want to move. Buying 3 instead of 4 often eliminates most of the discount, even though signage makes the offer feel flexible. Customers assume they're getting a deal simply by participating, without realizing the pricing is designed to clear specific stock levels, not to reward the shopper. The math always favors the inventory plan, not the basket total. Returns are where things get even more interesting. M&S has one of the most generous return policies on the high street, but behind the scenes, returned items don't all go back onto shelves at the same price. Items returned without tags or outside peak selling windows are often rerouted into discounted inventory pools. That means some new, discounted items were actually returned purchases that never went back to full-price rails. Shoppers who assume discounted items are always unsold stock miss the fact that they're sometimes buying something that already failed to sell once, which influences how aggressively it's priced the second time around. Seasonal timing plays a much bigger role than most people think, especially with fashion that looks non-seasonal. Knitwear, for example, starts receiving internal markdown consideration weeks before customers feel ready to stop buying it. M&S plans transitions early to protect shelf space for incoming lines, which means the best discounts often appear when shoppers least expect them, not during obvious end-of-season sales. Those who wait for January or July often miss quieter reductions that happen earlier, when selection is still good and competition is low. Even packaging plays a role in how prices are perceived. M&S frequently refreshes packaging or labeling without changing the product itself, which allows them to reset price expectations. A slightly redesigned label or updated name makes an item feel new, even if the contents are unchanged, and that freshness justifies holding a higher price point longer. Customers rarely notice that they're paying more for familiarity dressed up as novelty. Online shoppers face another subtle trick with stock availability messaging. Phrases like low stock or selling fast aren't always real-time reflections of inventory. Sometimes they're predictive signals based on browsing activity rather than actual remaining units. The goal is to nudge hesitant buyers into quicker decisions, especially on higher margin items. This doesn't mean the message is always false, but it does mean it's not always literal. The urgency is psychological before it's logistical. Gift items are treated differently again. Seasonal gift ranges often carry higher margins because they're expected to be impulse purchases, and they're less likely to be discounted heavily, even when similar standalone items are. The packaging, the placement near entrances, and the framing as easy gifts all work together to reduce price sensitivity. Customers rarely compare these items to non-gift equivalents, even when the contents are nearly identical. Another overlooked detail is how M&S tests pricing quietly before rolling changes out nationally. Select stores act as trial locations where prices are adjusted slightly to see how customers respond. If sales volume holds steady, the price change spreads. If it drops, the adjustment disappears. Shoppers in these test areas often assume price differences are mistakes or local quirks, not realizing they're part of a controlled experiment. None of this means M&S is doing anything illegal or unusual. These strategies exist across retail, but the brand's trust-based image makes customers less suspicious and more likely to assume fairness without checking. That's where the real advantage lies, not in deception, but in predictability. Most people shop the same way every time, at the same stores, on the same days, and that consistency makes their behavior easy to model and monetize. The shoppers who consistently pay less aren't necessarily bargain hunters. They're pattern breakers. They visit at odd times, check multiple locations, let loyalty offers expire, and don't assume the first price they see is the only one available. They treat M&S like a system rather than a storefront, and systems always have seams. Once you start noticing these seams, shopping there feels very different. Prices stop feeling fixed. Offers stop feeling random. You begin to see how timing, behavior, and presentation shape what you pay far more than the item itself. And that's the part most customers never realize. M&S doesn't need to hide these secrets. It only needs shoppers to stop looking.